flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We do have some public online. Say anything. Seeing none, let's move on to review and adopt the additions or deletions. Hearing none. Wait, we do have under new business. We have window cleaning that the board needs to discuss. That goes under new business. Also a correction. It said personnel committee meeting October 7th. That's already occurred, quite obviously. So you can take that off upcoming, but there is a finance committee meeting on, it's a very short one, in November.
No, the short one is October 21st.
Okay. All right. Additions or corrections? A motion to approve the agenda. Carrie. Agenda. Gloria, who's second? Of approving the agenda, say aye. Okay, it is approved. Moving on to the minutes from September 9th. I do have some corrections. Under the August 12th meeting minutes, Joyce moved to adopt it says the agenda should be the minutes. Lori had added the words per meeting after the words Megan was appointed. It had to do with her pay scale. And it says Joyce moved to adopt the agenda, it should be minutes. Also under Finance Committee, all of those were motions. I believe they were all passed, and of course they came out of committee, so that's who moved it, and there was no second needed for any of those. To my understanding and my recollection, all of them were accepted and passed, so that it should be indicated individually that each one of those was passed. Under old business, it was committee assignments. Dan, the first one says ask Dan Anitris and Deb to serve on the nominations committee, which begins meeting in January.
I'm sorry, Dan Anitris
and Debbie. Dan Anitris and Debbie are going to be on nominating an elections committee. All right. One other thing, I did ask Carrie to join the COVID-19. Dan has been concerned after his surgery. He is taking PT, and his availability is going to be somewhat limited, as well as sometimes his mobility with his arm. So he contacted me and was concerned whether he could participate or not at all times.
Is this I'm sorry, this is in addition to the minutes?
I'm just saying, it's not in the
Oh,
minutes.
okay.
It's not in the minutes.
Okay.
No, that was information for everyone.
So Dan Anitas and Debbie, that was in addition to the minute?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
There. All right.
I'll figure it out.
Yeah. I think that is it.
I have some corrections or think about the minutes. Roll call to confirm attendance, and do see all listed. However, I think in the past, we always listed Betty Sue,
Yes.
and also Megan to be listed as the recording secretary as well. And under introduction of mayor's appointee, I think Terry's name should be listed. Amen, because I think I'm in church, excuse me, y'all. All right, I think your name should be listed because if someone was to look at these minutes, they're gonna wanna know who the appointee was. And also under personnel committee, the October 7th meeting was to update appointment. And that's all I. Oh, more under discussion for HVAC. Says motion sign, there's question marks there, so I don't know. They made the motion to approve the building.
That's a separate business item. And who, when we approved expenditures,
I can go back and look at my fault. We usually do that at the end of the meetings, and we didn't say last month, and that was my fault.
okay. Director's report, you did receive it.
Few months, I haven't given it a report except if there were questions about my report.
Right. I was asking if you had anything to add to it.
I think there are a couple of things, but probably under new business.
Okay. Very good.
Did we already, with the additions,
Oh, I'm sorry.
we're
You're
skipping,
right. We need a motion to approve the minutes as amended. Do I have someone move that? I have Carrie who moved that we approve the minutes as second. I have Dan. All in favor, please raise your hand or say aye. Some of you just have pictures.
aye.
Aye.
I
It is approved. Also, the October's financial report, a copy of that on Friday, I believe. Are there any questions on that? The October Treasurer's financial report is on that.
Are you asking me to do my report now, Terry?
Oh, no, it's the Treasurer's report.
Oh, treasurer's report. Okay.
Right.
I'm sorry, are you approving September's report?
This is October's Treasurer's report.
Okay.
Any questions?
I'm at a meeting.
October's meeting.
Am I wrong?
I think we're gonna approve it.
And so I think you give September's report at the October meeting and then approve. Because it was what took place in September.
Place in September. It's October's meeting. Okay, so the correction is it's September's treasurer's report. So it runs from September 1 to September 30. Is that you're on? Are you online? Barb Kyler? Okay.
Welcome to Orange County.
Okay. The treasurer's report, does that run from September 30? Yes. Okay, so it is actually September's treasurer's report. Are there any questions on the treasurer's report? Seeing none, could I have a motion to approve?
Make a motion.
I have Linda Weller who moved to approve. Can I have a second?
Debbie seconds.
Carrie. All in favor, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Joyce.
All is approved.
Mhm.
We talked about the director's report, and Betty Sue, you said you had things in new business.
Before I turn the picture back on.
Yeah, what you've been doing in the past is just asking if anybody has questions. I numbers and some examples, and I don't remember what else it was. But you haven't had me discuss anything director's report because it all comes under different committees.
Right.
Like the example that with the who contacted me about wanting the COVID restrictions, especially for them, I thought that was to be a report by COVID committee.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and anything to do with the budget or the whatever is going to come under the finance committee.
Right.
So
You have-
I don't think there's anything left for me to say unless somebody had questions about what I sent out.
Any questions? All right.
No.
Let's move on. Executive committee, nothing. Personnel committee, we did have a couple of meetings.
Did everyone get the, my email that I sent out late today? I did not. Because what happened was I was going to distribute copies tonight at this meeting, so I hope everyone did receive my email. And if you had a chance to read it, and if you have any questions at all. We did meet twice. We met September 23rd, and we also met on October 7th. And at that time, we were discussing the different policies that came out in regards to the paid sick leave, regards to the New York State COVID-19 policy, and also the Family First, First Coronavirus Response Act. So we did discuss three of these at both meetings. And what we ended up doing, I did a lot of cut and pasting, and I distributed draft copies of the paid sick leave policy and the New York State COVID-19 policy to the committee. However, Betty Sue wasn't comfortable with her that we should send the policy to Greta to look at, along with the current PTO policies, and Terry did send those out, and we're still waiting for a response from Greta. However, the Personnel Committee reviewed the Family First Coronavirus Response Act, and that the library will follow the policy outline to assist any employees who may be eligible for this under their guidelines. However, this policy ends December 31st, 2020. We need a motion or just listed in the minutes that that the board did take a look at this policy.
Just for those, because the Personnel Committee has worked with this quite a bit on the last couple of weeks. The FFLCRA policy deals with people who have children or dependents that they have, and because the school is closed down, they don't have any daycare, or their daycare center was closed down, and they had to care for their children, and their place of work was not working remotely. We currently don't have any staff members who have children or dependents who are of school age. But apparently we are supposed to adopt the policy so that it is on the books. Is there anybody who didn't receive it? Unfortunately, I did not receive it. I'm having some major problems with my computer. I didn't. I have an 11-year-old computer, and I'm having some major problems. And I may end up being offline for a couple of days. Computer on. Did everybody receive it? Or maybe better, did anybody not receive it? Do we wish to approve it? It is coming from a committee, so it doesn't need a second. Any discussion of it, questions? We'll answer as best we can. Seeing no questions or discussion, let's move to a vote then. All in favor of adopting the FFLCRA policy for our records? Again, it doesn't apply really to anyone, but if you have it in our books, say aye or raise your hand, please.
Aye.
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 Approved. The other policies, we're waiting to hear from Greta. Because I'm having computer problems, I'm going to make sure that she received it. I'm just having terrible problems.
Terry,
Yes.
the library has wonderful computers and internet connections that we'd be happy to.
Actually, I may have to do that because I'm just having ridiculous problems.
We do it for lots of people.
Yeah. Complaining, and she had some things that she thought she sent out and never got sent. Other things going to wrong people, and I'm just having terrible problems. And it's my computer, but she uses it because her computer died. So, yeah. The other sick leave policies, we're going to wait then.
Yes.
Okay. Finance Committee.
Okay. The Finance Committee met on October 14th from 10:30 to 12:15. That would be myself, Terry Wilbert, Gloria Narden, Betty Sue Miller, and Barb Kyler. We reviewed and discussed the daily receipts, the bank register, and the payroll. And what I want to make a note of, and I didn't discuss it that time because one of the purpose of the Finance Committee was that we are to review the spendings of the library, and that we're to bring those to the meeting, and they are to be approved. So hopefully everyone has received and reviewed the receipts for the time period from our last meeting up until this current meeting, so that we can approve the spending, make a motion that we accept and approve the spending for this last month. Is that, am I correct in assuming that, Terry?
Yes.
To have a
The committee is
discussion?
recommending it, yep.
Yeah, because the board has, as part of their fiduciary responsibility, has to go on record as approving that spending. So I would like to make a motion coming from the Finance Committee that we approve the spending by the library this past month.
Is there any discussion?
Does the rest of the board get,
Those logs, they were sent out, I believe, by Barb. They were part of the packet that Barb sent out.
that should be described in that little blurb then, that it was the September.
Right, so maybe we can make that correction, that's what, on that first line. And I'm gonna be perfectly honest, it's like, as I was reading it during the review at the meeting, that was one of the purpose of the meeting, is so that we review it prior to the meeting, so that when it goes out and we come to the board meeting, that if there are any issues, the committee would have already hopefully looked at that particular issue. Am I correct in that, Terry?
Yes, yep.
Okay. So the correction on my minutes would reflect that this would be for the month of, from our last meeting, 14th of October.
Up until October 5th. Any questions? I believe you all received it. If not, it comes from a committee, so it does not require a second. All in favor of accepting the disbursement outline, please raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Opposed?
that being said, the next bullet point, because sometimes there are issues of alignment that happens in between our meetings, we decided that we would meet twice a month. The first Thursday of the month is to facilitate any budget work or policy work that we're doing. But the third Wednesday of the month, we would be looking at any additional budgetary check interest or any receipts or in with finance that the library will need approval next meeting. So there's no motion for that. The next issue is that we will need a motion, borrow 50 grand from our credit, from our Steuben line of credit. We've our $713,000 from our tax levy. And the motion to put forth is that we will pay off our Steuben line of credit plus interest immediately. But we need the approval of the board to do that.
Any discussion on that? It's actually now it's community
Yes.
bank. It was been up until 2 months ago. Yeah, that's a tax. That's our
Could I
tax.
just have the amount of that one more time, please?
Yeah, I can't hear you.
Amount paid
Can't do.
plus interest. We're not sure what the interest is.
And so that's what the committee is recommending to borrow?
Pay off
Oh.
of the tax levy. Any discussion on that?
Yeah.
All in favor, raise your hand or say aye.
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 Opposed?
Mhm.
Moving on
Okay.
to the second.
The only other major issue that we had in the finance committee is in regards to our HVAC system that we currently have with Train. We were exploring another company, 000, but we did not get a response. Our contract with Train has expired, and we need to get approval from the board to sign with Train so that we can continue coverage for our system. So we have their proposal, and we would like to accept their bill going forward for the next year, effective October 1st.
That's something that I could have mentioned in my director's report, but I do feel needs to be mentioned now. Is that acceptable?
Yes.
Okay. I talked to Joe Gounjo just today because one of the things that the finance committee asked about was the fact that they said that if we pay the whole amount for the year, we would have a 3% savings. And we have already gone beyond the date that this was due, so I didn't know if they would still honor that. He said, yes, they would. So I don't think we have in here, because he asked me how many other places did we look into? And Terry, I think I told him you checked with 4 or 5, but only one would send a bid in.
Only one came out to look at it. 2 of them said it was out of their. One of them never responded, and the information, but they never contacted me. Appointment, and the third, which was a local company, said that it was too. They don't do this size commercial.
Okay, I just wanted the board to realize that there had been exploration into other things before this decision was made. So I put into your packets the abbreviated version of what they cover and the cost. I did not put all the tiny print gobbledygook. I just gave you what you would need to see in order to approve the total amount and the part where it says 3%. So we would be paying them off at $7,191 minus 3%. And he said, as soon as we get this passed and the check cut, I can just send it all to them at one time. So happy if you come back to them. So that's what I needed you to know in addition.
Okay, so Terry, and to the rest of the board, so I am putting the motion that we accept the contract with Train and that we pay them the full amount, $7,191, less the 3%.
Correct.
To take advantage of the savings.
Is there any discussion? If not, it's coming from the committee, does not need a second. All in favor, please raise your hand or say aye.
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 Opposed? Carried.
One last little tidbit with this. Joe told me that in all the years, and I don't know how many it is, that they've been offering that 3%. We are the first customers who've taken advantage of it. Just thought you'd find that interesting.
My thesis was, as we talked about it, is we get about 0.19% in interest from our deposits. So we actually then get a 2.81% return by paying this early. So it's a good use of our money.
My report is finished. We're currently just still working on the budget. Hopefully we'll have something report December. I mean, by the latest December, hopefully November.
I break in again. Because I was asked to produce documents showing progress on the budget, I brought them to the finance committee. I was under the impression that I should be sharing what we did there with the rest of the board. So in your packet, you have one spreadsheet with some numbers put in them that are not carved in granite.
Right.
You also have two pieces or a one piece, both sided, with some budget notes. And I did these to try to explain what some of those categories were, because what we found in the past is people don't really understand them. And I think it's been very helpful. And I think that the finance committee members who were in favor of this have also found it. So I'm not looking for the board to be giving me numbers. I'm just looking to let you know what we're doing and what some of the areas we're working on are. Now, I could have done that during director's report. So I'm checking with you if I'm doing this correctly, that you want these types of items under the committee report, not under a director's report.
I think it's a perfect place to do it.
Okay.
Because that's what
Yes.
we're talking about finances, and that keeps us focused on that one area.
Okay.
I will also let you know, go ahead, Joyce.
I just wanted to add that I feel like it's really important, even though we all know that it's a work in progress, but it's much easier for members if we have a question that we see along the way, that you can see how it's developed so you can ask the question rather than getting a complete document and then being asked, well, how did any of this come to be? Yep. You can see the progression, and it makes it easier to formulate questions once we have the full thing in front of the board and we're asking everyone to vote. It won't be a totally new document.
Mm-hmm.
One other, okay. One other thing on the tax levy, we're putting $75,000 into the checking account for our next month's or checks. And then the remainder is going, as per our policy, going into our investment account with Morgan Stanley. So we'll be doing that within the next few days. All right. I go local talk with Betty Sue, and we're appointing Dee Robinson to the local history committee. She obviously has a very vested interest, but also she has a ton of knowledge with that. The local history is kind of unique in that it many times does have, or most of the time, has community members who are on that committee. I anticipate there will be a few others. Talking with Dee and very briefly with Bill Latin, there are a number of ideas they have that they want to talk about. That we have accumulated a lot of artwork actually that Dee is concerned with, is it appropriate, and also how do we store it? So there's some, I think, some big things that they are going to be taking on.
Is that, I mean, that's for the local history, and you're
Yeah.
talking about restoring things. Are we a library or a museum? Because are we going to get private funding to restore these?
I don't know that we're talking about restoring. I'm talking about appropriately. Not restoring, but storing them. Because right now they're sitting or in the archives. And we may have to look towards some other kind of store to do that with.
If I can add something there, is that all right?
Yes.
Okay. A couple of things. Number one, in talking with people who are worried about conserving things and saving them, we're in pretty good shape because that we are climate controlled and there is no light into the archives. That being stated, Linda has a very valid point about the fact that this board over the past couple of years has tried to decide what to do about whether or not they are a library or an archive or a museum. And I was asked to collect information from different sources on accession and deaccession. And I have a file here, and I don't know who it is that wants that information. But I think you almost have to decide how to handle those items before you decide what you're going to accept or what you're going to save or what you're going to restore. So know that I have a file, and when somebody's ready to look at it, whatever committee that comes under, I'll be happy to hand it over. Okay?
I would say that goes to local history.
Yes, but local history hasn't been meeting. So it's here waiting for them when that is established.
All right. That'd be something for the committee to discuss. Dan was asking if some of the stuff might be appropriately donated to Cobblestone. I don't know if there are other museums here in the area. I'm sure there are.
That's why you need to have a de-accession policy.
Right. We're having some issues with some beeps on fire alarms. We think they're fire alarms.
Yes.
The ad hoc committee on COVID-19. Who was going to speak? Dan? You got pointed there. Okay. Nice and loud.
So there's nothing from the Buildings and Grounds Committee, right?
Correct. They have not met.
And nothing from nominations and nothing from planning.
Nominations will begin meeting until January. And planning is meeting next week. Do we have a specific date yet? Okay, it's going to be in the afternoon.
I'm sorry, who's meeting when?
Planning will be meeting sometime next week. It has to be in the afternoon because of Carrie's schedule.
Okay, I don't have it on my calendar anywhere, so
We
I need.
don't have a firm date yet.
Okay. Is there any upcoming date for Buildings and Grounds? Because I have a whole lot of things that need to be done.
No, was it tonight? I think everybody from Buildings and Grounds is here. Might be after 5:30 because two of the members on Buildings and Grounds or maybe it has to be later, I'm not sure.
Okay, so in the Buildings and Grounds doesn't meet. Can I bring my, never mind.
That is the Buildings and Grounds is Joyce, myself, Anitris, and Linda. Do we want to set a time now or do it via email? I will have to probably come to the library to send an email because I'm really worried that I'm having terrible problems. What is the choice of those three? Would you rather we just email back and forth potential dates?
That would probably be better.
That
Okay.
would probably be better.
Okay, so we will email. All right, ad hoc committee on COVID-19.
First thing is.
I'm sorry, I'm not hearing anything at this point.
Me either.
Nope.
Gary, you want
Come
to
closer.
jump in? Or you can go right up.
Go right on. They can't see you over there. Just a minute.
Okay, let's see, what did we discuss? We had, let me see what everyone, the handling of the situation.
Is there something going on?
I don't know.
They can't hear you, Gary.
That's all right.
Mm.
Yes, yeah, I think so.
You might want to turn this one off or you'll get feedback. Because it'll hear it from both. Can you guys hear me now? I'm not quiet person. By any means.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Hear her?
Yeah.
Huh?
They're nodding. I really don't think they can hear you.
I just off. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right, report.
Is someone talking?
I guess get right in front. I don't know.
Can you hear me now?
Get right in front of me. I don't care.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, it lit up.
Okay.
The box was around it.
Awesome. Can you hear me, guys? Yes, no, not?
Yeah.
Okay. We met October 6th, 5:30. Those present were Carrie, myself, and Dan. Ben Sue did a great job on the questioning for the different options for someone not wanting to wear a mask. I see that we received the form that's going to come to the board if someone is not in agreement with the options that Betty Sue has given them, which is wonderful.
This isn't gonna work for you.
I don't hear anything.
Mm-mm.
Why don't you want to stand right in front of me?
Hello? Can you hear me?
I was gonna say, that time it came on with the first time she spoke.
About.
It's not.
No idea.
You know what? I'll let you read.
All right.
Here's the information at the bottom.
Okay. Can you hear me? I don't. Can you hear me?
Yes.
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 Okay. We met on October 6th at 5:30. It was Carrie, Dan, and myself. We reviewed two items. One was a waiver from wearing masks within the library. And Betty Sue used protocol suggested by the and she actually offered 3 different potential accommodations, which we felt was above and beyond. Did a nice job with that. Then those were refused by the family. So the committee was agreement. What the director did follow protocol, and the accommodations were reasonable. The committee said that probably the next step would be a potential appeal to the entire board. And Betty Sue provided a form, which I believe most of you may have received. Dan was the one who suggested that so that someone just didn't show up to a board meeting asking for an appeal to this, but so that we would have a record of why they had a concern with the accommodations. The other concern was if a staff member, since we had a potential staff member being diagnosed with COVID, we briefly discussed it. Most likely, if that happened, the health department most likely would make everybody shelter or quarantine, and we would have to shut it down. We didn't see any other way around it. The only other way is, and that wasn't realistic from what we could see. There's a question about if a staff member or patron was diagnosed with COVID, they might receive Carrie did go and checked out where there is free testing for the public, and that is at CVS, Rite Aid, Walgreens, health centers, and she also included a phone number. 800 188. I'll put it so it's in the minutes. It's 1-888-364-3065. And I believe Carrie had given us a screenshot that said if your healthcare professional required a test, it was free. I believe. Okay. The one last thing to discuss is if we did have a staff member, or most likely a staff member, test positive, probably what we should do is voluntarily, have a voluntary thing where people sign in and indicate their contact information on a daily basis in case there's a need for contact tracing. It's totally voluntary. We cannot require it based on what we have read.
I have a question on that.
And I have a further comment on that.
As far as, I mean, you could have a sign-in sheet if, you know, for employees, if you want them to sign and they can check the boxes, whether they have any of these.
We do that.
You have that, but as
We
far,
have that.
but as far as contact tracing, if you're asking for information, whether it's voluntary or not, who's going to be doing the contact tracing? The state already has that in place. Contact, if you came down with it, they would already, who you've possibly been in contact with.
Give them the information.
No, because if you test positive, if Joe comes in and he tests positive, they're gonna ask Joe where he's been, and he's like,
Right.
I was at the library. How long you were there for? I was there from 11 to 12. Okay. Then they put out a thing saying, hey, you were at the library from 11 to 12, and then you went to McDonald's for a half hour, and then you went to Walmart. I mean, I know a couple of contact tracers, and they have to be very careful the information they're
Privacy.
giving and the information they can get. And, you know, a couple of them say, well, who was it? Who has COVID? Was it Joe? I know it was Joe, and they can't say anything. So for us to even try and go down that slippery slope is to me, the state's already doing it, and I
Right.
wouldn't want to cross any privacy things
Right.
of that.
In
Just my
addition
two
to
cents.
that,
And-
I
I would-
searched this and found documents which was titled The Privacy Perils of Contact Tracing in Libraries, which was put out by ALA. And I didn't send this to you because it's a lot of gobbledygook, but there's one sentence that really hits on this topic. It says libraries should only perform contact tracing when mandated by public health or local officials. So until you're directed to do that by a governmental agency, this is saying we shouldn't be doing it. If somebody wants a copy of this, I'd be happy to forward it, but I didn't want to inundate you with one more thing.
The other thing that I want to dovetail on what Betty Sue and Linda are saying is that just because someone, let's say, ends up with COVID, it doesn't mean that they will necessarily come in and shut the library down. I think we just have to follow the protocol once it's known and what public health tells us to do, and not make a preemptive judgment about, because I'm saying this because recently, because his ex says at her husband's job, people weren't wearing masks, and a cousin of a cousin came down with COVID. Well, what that case, they came in and masks, but they didn't shut it down. They just found out who was in more contact with that person over a prolonged period. So before we decide that we need to shut the library down, we need to listen to what public health says, because they come in and tell you who has to do what. I don't want to be a COVID police. I just want to follow the policies that are mandated by the state and the federal government.
The discussion we had was that we have to follow public health, and if we were to get shut down, it would be by public health.
If they tell us to shut down, we shut down. But until then, and I say that because they're the ones that shut everyone down before. So they have no problem with shutting us down if they feel that we are a vector for COVID. So what we have to do is we report it to them, and we ask for their direction on what to do next.
Right. That's exactly what we said. Yeah, that's exactly what the committee talked about. Is that public, if one of our people came down with it, that public health or even a client, if public health is going to direct us.
Right.
They'll probably say us.
That is true.
Yes,
Where did you get that information from? You said ALA?
ALA, American Library Association,
Is there a date on it? Because I can pull that up.
June 5th of 2020.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah. Anything else from the COVID-19 committee?
Oh, did we not have to approve that form that Betty
Oh,
Sue
yes, we
made?
should approve, thank you, Joyce. We should approve the form that Betty Sue created for an appeal to the board. Yes.
Make a motion.
Does everyone have a copy of the form?
Can I just really quick, it's a recommendation from the committee to approve the form Betty C created for patrons who do not want to wear masks, who refuse to wear masks,
No.
who are requesting
An
a
accommodation.
waiver. Okay, thank you. I just want to make sure I had the wording.
Yes, thank you.
I believe those of you who are on site have that in your folder, and those of you who are at home have it in an email.
Okay.
And the other thing I would ask is the family that has been reaching out to me contacted me again today, and I said I would not have an answer until tomorrow when the board directed me on what I am supposed to do now, as far as their situation is concerned. Because I have not contacted them since it went to the committee.
Well, as far as the committee said, we felt you did protocol right to the T. You provided them 3 accommodations. If they wish to appeal, they can use the
Okay.
form as soon as we approve it.
And I get that, but I was told I had to wait for the board to approve it before I could
Right.
send it out. So what I'm
Yes.
saying is,
So,
what do you have to do to tell me to go ahead?
it's coming from a committee, doesn't need a second. Is there any further discussion about the form? Either say aye or raise your hand. Opposed? It is carried. So Betty Sue, you can contact.
We'll
that
take
family.
care of that tomorrow. Okay.
Right. Full board. Full board. Carrie just pointed out that the committee, the family should be made aware that we won't be dealing with it until November, because that's when our next meeting is.
I'm confused. Oh, that the board won't be
Right.
dealing with it.
Right.
Right.
Full board won't be meeting. until
Okay.
then.
Okay, so if they accepted one of my options,
No
we're all
meeting.
done.
Yeah,
They
If
accept
they
one of your
don't
options, we're all
accept
set.
that and they want to fill out the form for the board, there will be no answer to that until after the November meeting.
Right.
right.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Nothing else? All right, Friends of the Library, one of the things that we're supposed to do on a yearly basis is acceptance of a memorandum of understanding. The one thing that does how it impacts, well, it impacts us in a number of ways. And it was actually taken right out of from the Green Book, I guess you'd say. The fact is that they have a planning process of the library, and we share any strategic initiatives. We're supposed to supply them with a wish list at various times, and we provide them with support and staff when needed, including mailings and that kind of thing. I hopefully all of you received this. I think I sent it out yesterday, which was the day I started having some difficulties with my computer. Did everyone receive a copy of the memorandum of understanding?
Yes, I did.
Donna?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
All right. Yeah. Are there any questions on this?
No, it's basically what we signed, what we did before.
Right.
Right. It's exactly what we did before, 5 weeks ago. All
I'll
right,
make
all
a
in favor? Say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
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 It is accepted. Is there any old business? I have none listed here.
That's. I have a couple of things. I don't know if this is what I'm supposed to do. Terry, you asked me to produce the contract with Timothy Newton.
Yeah, that's under
For
new
the
business,
board?
right. Yeah,
Oh, am I under the wrong thing?
well, we don't have any, apparently don't have any old business, so let's move right on to new business. Yes. We're up to you.
Okay, so I sent a copy in the email. For those of you who didn't get it because you are not on site, I can scan it and send it to you. But essentially, the snow plowing contract for next year is the same as this year. And it has been the same for several years. The only change that was made was starting, I think it was 2 years ago. The contract reads that they can charge separately for salting, and they never did. So instead of raising their prices 2 or whatever number of years ago it was, they started charging for the salting. And we can't complain about that because it's written right here in the contract. We've been very happy with their service. This year, they did a terrific job of cleaning up afterwards. And I think it was because we reached out. I don't think in the past I had done that. So they did a very nice job of cleaning up after the end of the season. And I was given permission when we got this contract that we could, there were significant increases for bids that I had come in for things that I could accept that bid for up to 3 years. This is the 3rd year, so I have already accepted it. Okay. The next one was Burris Cleaning. And I don't know because he and I have been talking recently. He has left his price the same for a number of years, but we have never done the 3-year commitment out for him. And I would like to do that because he said he's real happy and I've been very happy. So I'd like to renew his contract. Okay. And one other contract thing that we've never done before is Terry Bureau has submitted bids to hire someone to clean the windows. She will do the inside windows, he has always done. The years doing the outside windows has been very difficult. When we had a couple of young people working for us, Alicia comes to mind, she would take Alicia on and she would pay her out of her pocket to come in extra hours to do window cleaning. I think the last year I said, no, that's not acceptable. She shouldn't be paying her that. So we did. She has submitted some bids for cleaning just the outside with prices. And I think that needs to be turned over to Buildings and Grounds, which is one of the reasons that I hope Buildings and Grounds can meet fairly soon, because this should be done before the weather gets real bad. So those are things that were sort of financial, but fell under things that I was asked to look into for contracts.
We're just asking, we don't have any bids. I don't see them.
We don't have any bids for what?
The window cleaning?
I have 2 bids here. But I haven't had, nobody has met from Buildings and Grounds to submit them to.
Right.
I think it's 2. 1. Looks like there are 3.
3?
There are 3 here. That's something that I need to get to Buildings and Grounds so that we can tell me what it is you want me to do.
My question is, if we wait until a November meeting, will it be too cold to clean the windows?
I have no idea.
I don't know anything.
Terry, could I ask a question?
Please.
Seeing as how the windows is open for discussion, if we are satisfied with the snow plowing services of Newton and we're satisfied in general with the other cleaning services, could we get those two approved? And then that would leave just, because those are known factors. We already in the service quality of those two people. So unless we decide we want to go and explore others and delay it another month, then maybe we can get those two done, and then we can, the buildings and ground, when we meet, we can discuss the window cleaning options.
All right. That was the whole idea. So are you making that motion, Joyce, to accept the snow plowing and the carpet and upholstery cleaning
Right.
contracts? John Burris. Are you making that motion, Joyce?
Yes, I make that motion.
Could I have a second? We have Dan for a second. Any discussion on those two contracts? We've been very pleased with their service, and Buildings and Grounds last year suggested, certainly for the plowing, we could do a 3-year contract, and we just renewed unless there was a large increase in price or we're dissatisfied with the service. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I heard it.
Susan Trevor.
As far as the windows go, what are the windows?
I can't hear you, Carrie.
Okay, the question is, as far as the windows, what are the bids that we have for the?
Oh.
Okay, there are 3 bids here.
Okay,
One is from, they're sort of attached, so hold on just a second. The highest one is out of Rochester, and it's $875, which does seem a little high. They are CEO Mother Nature's Enterprises. They did send us references. The second one is Clear Choice, which is also out of Rochester. And their quote for the exterior is $584.28. The third quote is from Accord, which is Geico Commercial Lines Team. It has something to do with Geico Insurance. Oh, this is their certificate of insurance. So they are insurance covered, and their bid is, I don't know where they're from. I'm sure Barb can tell me that. But for the life of me, I'm not seeing it. Anyway, they are out, I don't know where they're out of, but their quote is only 357. Those are the 3. They're obviously a big difference between 8 something, 5 something.
Yeah.
are they all insured?
Are they, the cheapest one sent their insurance. The middle one sent their insurance, and the most expensive one sent their insurance. So Terry did a terrific job of getting everything that we would need.
Do all of them look the same as far as an amount of square footage of window?
All doing is quoting by window. They're quoting by window number, not by so one, for example, is just 119 panes for $357. Another one is 53 large for 8 apiece and 39 small for 3 apiece, to come to 500 and something. And the other one is also says they'll clean the inside of the vestibule. We don't need that because Terry does it on a routine basis. And they don't give us numbers for anything. You know, they didn't give us one is done it by numbers of windows, one is done it by the 2 different sizes of windows. And those are the 2 that we have. I think the 800 and something one is probably out the window before
Yeah.
we even go any further.
I agree.
Is there, you know, if they anyone looked online at them and see what their reviews are?
I didn't.
Who is talking?
Gloria is attempting to, she's not having much luck. Could
Is
you
she
repeat-
muted?
Pardon me?
Is she muted? Because I see that Carrie's muted.
Well, Carrie has a computer, it does not. Could you repeat, the Clear Choice quoted how many panes of glass?
119. And Barb has texted me to say that Terry checked them all out. She liked one best, which is actually the cheapest one.
Mm.
Oh,
And that-
Terry Burrow checked them all out.
Terry Barrow, who is our cleaning person. And it's actually, the company is called Zach's Window and Cleaning Services from Klein Road, Niagara Falls.
Okay, I'm just gonna go out on a limb. If our cleaning person recommended them and they're the lowest bid, can we just make a motion to accept the window cleaning for the lowest bid?
So that'd be Zach's Cleaning Services.
Yes.
Do I have a second? Dan seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed?
Great.
Great.
No question.
Thank you.
Exactly, do they clean like how many windows, or you were talking about window panes and all of this? What do they actually clean besides, you know what I'm saying? I don't want us to something and then, approve something and then and see that there's gonna be more cost to it. What exactly is that?
The quote is for cleaning 119 window panes.
Exteriorly.
All of our windows on the outside, they might have dividers on the inside, but they don't on the outside. So that is one window, one pane.
Okay. All right. So again, let's, all in favor, say aye. I think we did this.
Aye.
Raise your hand. Opposed? It is carried. So we're going with Zach's
Okay.
Cleaning Services to clean our exterior windows this fall. Thank you.
Yeah.
Concerns around the table.
Sorry, I have one more thing under new business.
Oh, okay.
The question has been asked about what are we going to do on election day?
Thank you. The reason, somebody brought that up to me, at the town, they said, when we did the primary in June, the library closed down. Now granted, that was 4.5 months prior to this election. The question is the library, does the library down during that time? My understanding is, remember, it was a primary, but it was a very light usage of the library. The town will take care of, well, the election commission will take care of social distancing. The town takes care of the social distancing outside if we were to have a waiting line outside the building. That's the question.
The question is, who's gonna clean after they're done?
The voting, what they did during the primary is the electors cleaned this room, and then Terry Burrow cleaned the vestibule and the areas in the laboratory.
Okay.
I think I can hear it through there too. You must be able to hear it on Betty's stage. I'm so comfortable.
Oh, it's a door thing.
Okay, so you're just basically asking the hours that the library is going to be open during the voting thing, correct?
That's the question.
So
That's so,
let's just keep it regular library hours as it is.
Other
What
thoughts?
we've always done in the past.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
yeah.
But you know, they're expecting high turnout during this election, so I don't know with everything that's going on with social distance.
Terry, could you tell us what she said?
Oh, I'm sorry. There's a concern because they're expecting a very high turnout, and concerned about social distancing.
But that's the responsibility of
Elections.
election.
Yeah, and you don't
Of
want,
the town, really.
And I don't want to get in the middle of that.
nope, we don't want people just standing 6 feet apart in all aspects of the library. That's just,
Right. Would it
The
make sense?
concern,
And I'm just throwing this out as an idea. Would it make sense gates between these the rooms? Gate between the rooms and the rest of the library?
yeah, that could be done.
Just to reduce, make sure we don't have lines going out into the library, but that they would go out the door and out onto the walk.
but
The
isn't it,
concern the last time was we had not yet opened. We were doing library to go. So we anticipated a problem with people coming in to get books and running into more people in the vestibule and not being able to take responsibility for who belonged to whom. We're open now, so it is a little different. I think the idea of closing off the gate to the
Right.
lounge from this side is probably an effective way. If somebody needs to use a bathroom, we can open it and let them go. It isn't that big a deal, but at
Right.
least we can prevent the traffic coming from the voting into the library anywhere other than going back out and then coming in through the doors to the library region.
Right.
how many legally
Talk
can
with
we
Mike
have in the
Snyder
library?
about making sure that there's signage.
Good point.
They
They provide the signage.
Pardon me?
They will provide all the signage.
The town and the election commission provide.
Correct.
that signage.
And
How many
Linda just asked what our capacity is. I think it won't be a problem for us on the library side.
Right.
And if they keep it to less than half of what's allowed over there, if in seating in that room, we can hold over 100.
Okay.
So they're not going to have 50 people in here to be voting at the same time because they were very careful about keeping them spaced. Would I be surprised to see the line snake out through the vestibule into the outside of the building? Nope, I wouldn't.
No, I'm talking about, like, say if 100 people went to vote and then those 75 of those went to go in the library.
I'm not sure I understand.
Well,
They might be first timers.
Yeah.
But that's one of the advantages we've always had of being open on election day.
No, I'm just saying, what's the capacity of the library, say if 75
Ah,
voters
point.
went to go in?
I will check and make sure. And at the front desk, we not only do we have people counters at the door, they are keeping track of how many come in, which is why I send you numbers. So if it looks like we're going to exceed capacity, we can shut it down for a little bit and just
Okay.
say, could you come back?
Okay.
do you think it would be possible for someone from the board to just maybe stop in and give us a preview of what they see it going like? How,
If who gives you a rundown on this?
who?
What?
Ooh, that's what I'm saying. Who do you?
Oh,
She
the
was saying
board-
if sorry.
if the Board of Elections, someone could come in and look at what would be the flow and tell us what they see the flow as, because that's going to give us a better idea of what we may need to do from our end to make sure that
I
we.
don't think it will make a difference, Joyce,
Oh,
because
okay.
what they have set up in the past and what they did at the last election is they had, and they didn't even need all 3 rooms for that one. They had everyone enter in one door. And there were the spots marked out on the floor for them to
Oh, okay.
wait. And they even had them out the vestibule onto the sidewalk. They didn't need them.
Okay,
And then you had, when you were through voting, you went out the door. So I think it's okay.
so that's good. That's all I wanted to know. But I understand now Linda's
Okay.
point about
Primary was
capacity.
a really hot day and a windy day, and Mike put the tape down, Mike and I put the tape down like at 6 o'clock in the morning, and by
Right.
noon, it was gone. But now we may be dealing with cold, so who knows what's gonna happen.
Yeah, we're getting into the weeds too much here.
Yep. And we can adjust during the day, if there are changes that need to be made.
Yeah. Okay, any other old business? Concerns around the table?
Did you make a motion on that? or
No.
Okay.
I'm good.
If none. can I
My only concern is, if with this meeting tonight was just that, if we're gonna switch up the meeting schedule, that everyone just has fair warning. Some board members knew and other ones didn't. What was that, Carrie?
She's explaining, I couldn't hear what you said, and someone was telling me. Right, well, I will try. I went online looking for the open meetings information, couldn't find it, and then Betty Sue sent it to me. Because it had expired October 5th. I couldn't find if the governor had extended it, but I had requests from 6 different board members that we meet in person, and I was just trying to accommodate them. I will, if people can help me look that up, and certainly, one of the concerns is we had a big uptick here in the Orleans County with 11 new cases over the weekend. Of course, that was 3 days, and I didn't see that until 11 o'clock last night when I checked. But, we'll just, I think we have to assume at this point, from what I'm hearing from CDC, et cetera, that they're looking at upticks in 35 states right now. So my guess is that we probably will be doing Zoom next month as well. But I guess we should say that we're going to do it Zoom. And if there's something miraculously happens, again, we will do it in person.
I mean, I would be fine. I didn't know. And honestly, I looked at the agenda and didn't even notice that it was in person. So that was one of my thoughts. And as far as COVID, with the numbers going up, I've gone in the library and been in a different room, but with the flu now, the uptick in COVID, I don't want to go back in time. I don't want to expose my employees. I know some people have family members with, different conditions. So it was just me, I just didn't know. And so sorry for all the emails this afternoon, but I had a virtual meeting already planned. So I just planned on basically.
I'm having computer problems big time. And people, it's a mess.
Well, we talked about the computer. You talked about your computer problems before. You have the library now, so.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to come in because some of my wife's stuff is bleeding into mine.
Was
that for me?
advertised on the sign up front, and if so, was it advertised as a Zoom meeting?
Was that for me? Because I didn't hear, I didn't get a
I
word.
wondered if the meeting was advertised as a Zoom meeting
On the sign.
on the sign.
Well, we couldn't put it on the sign because we didn't know.
Right. Because the governor hadn't made any decision at the time we put it out there. Do you know, Betty Sue, do you know when he made that decision to change it?
I don't.
Because the last time he made it like on Friday at 5 o'clock.
I do not know.
I want to say him, whoever makes that decision.
I don't know. I just looked today when it was announced to be in person to see what the regulations were, and it is extended until November 3rd, 4th, or 5th. He seems to go from early in a month to early the next month.
Right.
Why it isn't out there sooner, I don't know. But I think
And it
whoever
creates problems
said,
for us, but
whoever said that they don't see him changing this for a while with COVID numbers going up, I think that's probably accurate. And
Right.
the only thing I can say is I don't care whether people are here or Zooming from home, but it's a whole lot easier when you're Zooming on separate computers than this was with having people in a room where we couldn't hear them. Now, that doesn't mean we can't work on that.
Yep.
And Mike, you get credit for really trying and stepping up here, but it wasn't as easy as I thought it'd be.
Well, yes, I mean, this isn't the first time we've done it. We're 7 months in, so we should be pretty good at it by now.
Well, we
Different
were when
format.
everybody had their computers in separate locations.
Right, right. We could hear a lot easier, yes.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay. Dan, you had a concern?
Not a concern. I was told by a few patients lately that
Did he say something?
Yeah,
He said, Dan said he's heard from some patrons, how satisfied they are, how clean the place is, how nice the staff is.
that's always good to hear.
Yeah, get that in the minutes there, Megan.
And kudos to Betty Sue and the staff.
There we go.
Right. Any other concerns? Can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
Linda?
I second.
Second from Gloria. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Night, y'all.